Okay, all right, let's really unpack this. Try and picture this for a second. You're not just listening, you're there. Deep inside the Forbidden City, maybe 1720. It's this narrow corridor, candles flickering, shadows everywhere.
Hmm.
The air, well, thick.
Yeah.
Jasmine, yeah, but also fear. You can almost feel it. And you're following this old eunuch.
Right.
And maybe you're the 15-year-old girl who's just been chosen. You think, wow, luxury, honor. But then the eunuch stops. And he tells you something that just shatters everything.
He tells you the real rules, the ones that decide if you even continue to be.
Exactly. And that's our deep dive today. These aren't just rules. They're what we're calling invisible chains. We're looking at maybe 20, maybe more, strange and honestly terrifying protocols that governed every single woman in the emperor's personal sphere.
And it's crucial to understand right from the start, these weren't about etiquette, not really. They were instruments of power, absolute power, designed to systematically just erase a person's identity.
Turning individuals into, well, instruments, tools for the imperial will. It's pretty chilling stuff, actually. And we're drawing on some fascinating historical accounts here, like the work done by the Quiet Historian's YouTube channel. They really dig into these forgotten stories.
They do incredible work, and the core insight, like you said, is control. Dismantling the self, ensuring total subservience. Every rule, every tiny gesture, it all served that one purpose, reinforcing the emperor's absolute power.
So let's start with the physical. The very first thing you learn. Rule 1. Never turn your back to the emperor. Never. Sounds like basic respect, maybe? But it was more, wasn't it?
Oh, much more. It wasn't politeness. It really speaks to the deep paranoia that comes with absolute power. This wasn't just theoretical danger.
You mean like actual threats?
Absolutely. Think about it. He rules millions.
Mm.
Enemies everywhere. Death could come from anywhere, even, from supposedly powerless women, a hidden needle, a tiny blade, poison. These were real fears.
Oh, a turn back is an opportunity, a vulnerability.
Exactly. A place to hide something, a moment he couldn't see. So the rule eliminates that risk. It demands this constant physical posture of submission and transparency.
Wow. Our sources mention concubines developing this almost like supernatural way of moving. Sideways, pivoting, gliding, almost like water dancers, right? Always keeping him in sight.
There's that story of men who survived 3 years, moving like water, eyes always on him, even while undressing. It tells you everything about the constant vigilance needed just to exist.
Incredible. And from the body, it moves straight to language.
Yeah.
The next layer of control. Rule 2, never speak unless spoken to. And when you do speak, this is wild. Refer to yourself in the third person.
Not I think or I feel.
No, it was this unworthy slave feels or this lowly concubine request. What does that do to a person's mind, losing the word I?
Well, that's the terrifying part, isn't it? It's linguistic erasure. It's not just following orders. It actively, rewires the brain. Sources say many women, after just months, literally couldn't think of themselves as I anymore, even when alone. Yes. Their thoughts become colonized almost by that grammar of submission. They internalize being an object, a vessel. It fundamentally changes how they perceive themselves and their place in the world.
That is profoundly disturbing.
Yeah.
Okay, so physical presence controlled, language controlled, then the eyes. Rule 3, never look directly into the emperor's eyes during intimacy.
Right. The gaze had to be lowered, fixed just below his chin.
Why? Just submission again?
Or something else. It was about preventing connection, preventing complications. He needed to use their bodies, frankly, without being confronted by their humanity.
So if he saw fear or pain.
Or intelligence.
Exactly. Or longing. It might make him hesitate. It might remind him she's a person. And crucially, she mustn't see into his eyes either.
Why not? What might she see?
That the Son of Heaven is maybe just a man. Perhaps lonely, maybe even afraid himself. And that awareness could shatter the entire illusion of his divinity, which was maintained in part through this kind of control.
And if you messed up, accidental eye contact. Immediate prostration, begging forgiveness for the presumption of treating him as an equal. Do it again. You could be sent off to serve the eunuchs. For life, a living warning.
Just unbelievable. Okay, the control gets even tighter, right? Into the act itself. Rule 4, complete silence during intimacy. Unless, of course, he tells you to make noise.
And this wasn't about being discreet, not at all.
Then what?
It's about control over involuntary response. Any spontaneous sound, pleasure, pain, whatever, acknowledges an independent body, a physical reality outside his direct command. And that couldn't be allowed.
So what did they do?
They learned amazing, terrible control, holding breath, biting tongues, sometimes until they bled, or they dissociate, just mentally leave their bodies entirely.
And the emperor.
Some sources suggest emperors became almost addicted to this power, testing it, trying to force a response, sometimes through pain, not pleasure, just to prove they could break that silence, just to assert total dominance.
Leading to women who couldn't make any sound at all. Living ghosts.
That's the phrase used, yes. A complete shutdown. The self just retreating inwards completely.
God, that's bleak. Okay, and then rule 5, which just feels almost mechanical.
Oh.
The emperor's climax must always come last. Not for her pleasure, obviously.
Obviously not. No, his climax was symbolic. It represented the restoration of cosmic order. His seed was sacred, supposedly linking him to the divine mandate of heaven.
So her pleasure coming first would be, what, sacrilege?
In a way, yes. It would suggest mortal pleasure could somehow supersede this divine moment. So the women faced this nightmarish calculation. They had to constantly monitor themselves, suppress their own responses.
How could you even do that?
Sheer force of will. Some accounts mention women reciting poetry in their heads or doing complex math problems, anything to delay or prevent their own climax. Can you even imagine that kind of mental gymnastics during intimacy?
It's extraordinary.
And cruel.
And after the act, the control didn't stop.
Well,
Remain prostrate until given permission to move.
yes, lying there, sometimes for minutes, sometimes apparently for hours, depending on his mood. No cleaning up, no shifting for comfort, just stillness.
Why? What did that reinforce?
Well, the fundamental inequality. He gets up, goes back to being emperor. She remains frozen. In that position of absolute vulnerability, her body still, bearing the physical evidence of the encounter, until he decides she can move. It's a final, lingering act of submission.
So body, words, eyes, sounds, climax, even the immediate aftermath, all utterly controlled. But it didn't stop there, did it? The control extended outwards to biology itself. Rule 7, immediate reporting of pregnancy.
And not even to the emperor directly, to the head eunuch, even if it was just a suspicion.
And the consequences.
Severe, death for failing to report, a brutal beating for a false report. Imagine the anxiety. Every little change in your body becomes a source of potential terror.
It turns your all physicality against you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if pregnancy was confirmed, isolation, constant surveillance, not really for her protection, though.
No, then why?
To make sure she didn't terminate the pregnancy or harm herself. The heir, or potential heir, was the valuable asset. The woman, she was just the vessel. Keep the vessel functional.
Just a vessel. Wow.
Yeah.
And inside the harem, it wasn't exactly sisterhood, was it? Rule 8, hierarchy and competition, especially when multiple concubines were called together.
Oh, absolutely not. This rule weaponized jealousy. The favored concubine might lead, others were forced to be an audience or assistants, or even direct competitors in these elaborate sexual performances.
Forcing them to compete for attention, for favor.
Yes, and worse, forcing them to perform desire for the same man, often in front of each other, to appear to enjoy scenarios that reduce them all to interchangeable objects. It was designed to break any bonds between them.
Making them see each other as threats, that's heartbreaking, corrupting potential friendships.
Systematically destroying any chance of solidarity or mutual support, sometimes forcing them to witness or even participate in a friend's degradation.
Another impossible task. Rule 9, instantly read and respond to the emperor's moods, like a mind reader.
Almost superhuman emotional intelligence was demanded, and perfect self-control. If he's angry, you soothe. Sad, you comfort. Celebrating, you're joyful. But never ever seem presumptuous or pitying or too enthusiastic. It was a constant balancing act.
So they became expert psychologists.
In a way, yes. Hyper-aware of every micro-expression, every shift in his posture. But the cost? They often lost the ability to feel or express their own authentic emotions. They became hollowed out, perfectly mirroring him while empty inside.
And memory games. Rule 10, remember everything when you're with him, forget everything when you leave. Perfect recall, then perfect amnesia.
It sounds impossible, doesn't it? It basically forced a kind of split consciousness. They had to develop these intricate mental filing systems, compartmentalize everything.
Could they even do that?
Some managed, somehow, others. It broke them. Led to what we'd probably now call dissociative disorders. Their inner world just fractured under the strain.
It really does sound like acting. Which leads to Rule 11. Imperial desire followed the seasons, like the agricultural calendar.
Exactly. His sexual appetite was supposed to align with cosmic cycles, fertility during harvest time, seeking warmth in winter, marshaling energy before war.
So the women had to embody these concepts, become living symbols.
Precisely. They had to constantly reinvent themselves, be fertile earth one month, winter warmth the next. Not individuals, but representations. Actresses in a never-ending high-stakes play where the script kept changing based on the time of year or political needs.
And they were performing even when they thought they were alone. Rule 12. Witnesses, eunuchs, senior concubines,
Oh.
watching them during intimacy.
Sometimes, yes. Not for pleasure, apparently, but for surveillance. To ensure the rules were followed. To report any violations, any flicker of genuine emotion, any hint of authenticity.
That's terrifying. A panopticon, basically. You never know if you're being watched, so you always act like you are.
Exactly. Maintaining that facade of perfect submission, even in what should have been private moments, the pressure must have been relentless. Any slip-up could be reported, with dire consequences.
Even seemingly kind gestures were traps. Rule 13. Gifts and rewards. Silk, jewelry, special foods. They came with strings attached, didn't they?
Invisible, but very strong strings. Accepting a gift meant accepting a debt you could never truly repay. You had to show gratitude, not just for the item, but for the honor of being chosen to receive it.
And refusing wasn't an option.
Refusing was an insult. Plus, gifts created hierarchies, jealousy, made the recipient a target. So every kindness was a potential weapon, every reward a kind of punishment, trapping them further in the system.
And the pressure wasn't just on them. Rule 14 stretched beyond the palace walls. Their families were hostages.
Essentially, yes. The threat wasn't just to her life, it was to her family's honor, their social standing, their future marriage prospects, everything.
So they carried that weight too, the fate of their whole family.
An immense psychological burden, performing not just for their own survival, but for their parents, siblings, their entire lineage. Even in supposedly intimate moments, the faces of their loved ones were probably there, in their minds, a constant reminder of the stakes.
And time itself was an enemy. Rule 15. The tragedy of aging. How do you manage that in this system?
It was brutal. Maintain your appeal, but don't look like you're trying too hard. Age gracefully, but, not noticeably. Accept that your status is falling while still having to compete. And mentor the younger women who are replacing you.
Oh, that's harsh. Mentoring your replacements.
It led to desperate measures, dangerous beauty practices, lead cosmetics poisoning them slowly, painful procedures, eating disorders, anything to cling to youth and favor. The sources are grim. They say the lucky ones die young.
Before facing that slow decline. And then, even in death, Rule 16, the choice of being buried with the emperor.
A terrible choice. Volunteer for burial and your family gets honor, security. Refuse or not be chosen and you live on as a widow, wrecked forever, unable to remarry, have children, a kind of living death.
So they had to cultivate a relationship with death.
In a macabre way, yes. Learn to see it as the ultimate fulfillment of duty. They'd write letters home, compose poems about it, participate in constructing their own tragic myth, even as they faced oblivion.
Then there's Rule 18, which just sounds psychologically impossible. The dance of love. Forbidden to feel real love, but also forbidden not to feel it.
It's a paradox, isn't it? Simulate love so perfectly it's indistinguishable from the real thing. Give him the performance of adoration, devotion, but keep your own heart safe. Somehow, because genuine attachment was dangerous.
How so?
If you truly loved him, rejection or his death could destroy you. But if you felt nothing, that might show, and that was also dangerous. It was this impossible tightrope.
What happened to those who couldn't walk it?
Some fell genuinely in love and were crushed. Others became completely detached, emotionally numb. The few who managed the balance, they often paid with their sanity, becoming performers so skilled they lost touch with who they even were underneath the mask.
And even if you survived the emperor, your position wasn't secure. Rule 19. Disposability after his death.
Right. The women of the previous reign become inconvenient, dangerous reminders. The new emperor often needed to neutralize them somehow.
Neutralize. How?
Well, the lucky ones might be sent off to remote temples, forced to become Buddhist nuns. Others, they just disappeared. No record. Vanished. Or maybe demoted to the lowest ranks in the palace, serving as living warnings to the next generation. Temporary favor, ultimate disposability.
Which brings us, finally, to the last rule. Rule 20. Forgetting. If you somehow survived all this, you had to forget it all. Become a blank slate.
That was the expectation, the ideal, to just erase the past.
But could they? Can anyone truly forget trauma on that scale?
Forgetting isn't erasure, is it? The memories stay, buried deep, coming out in nightmares, panic attacks, and inability to trust, to love, to feel worthy. They carried invisible scars, even if they outwardly conformed, walking testaments to a system that valued them only for their function.
Yet, and this feels important, despite this utterly dehumanizing system, there was resistance, wasn't there? Rule 17 mentions it. They found ways.
Absolutely. And this is maybe the most crucial point. Even in that environment, the human spirit found ways, small ways, big ways, secret languages, coded messages in glances or songs, hidden rituals just to feel human.
Subtle things.
Subtle things, yes, like flower arrangements with hidden meanings, but also more dramatic acts, suicide pacts, escape attempts, even secret pregnancies hidden from the authorities. Risking everything for just a moment of authentic choice, of defiance. It's
Yeah.
incredibly powerful.
It really is. So wrapping this up, it's crystal clear these bizarre intimate rules. They were never really about intimacy or the bedroom at all, were they?
Not fundamentally, they were about power, absolute crushing power, the power to turn people into objects, to make love a performance, to tie survival itself to the complete surrender of your identity, your humanity.
Think back to that 15-year-old girl we started with. In the corridor, the eunuch is gone, emperors change, dynasties fall. But the system, those rules, they echo.
hmm The survivor becomes the new enforcer, the one whispering the rules. She learned to forget she was human, perhaps. Became the shadow, the expert performer of desire, the simulator of submission. The chain continues.
So the question we leave you with, as you think about all this,
Hmm.
what does it really mean when survival demands forgetting you're human? Commanding silence, controlling the gaze, erasing the self. What are the silent scars of that kind of survival? Scars that maybe still echo, even now.